then you will notice on the right side of the screen, we do have that haste status. I mean, we all know that Pyramid Head is known for the cakes that boy do be thumbing out here, but just a simple M1 would put one of these survivors down on the ground. Nice firecracker here
Very
to
well
be
played.
able to build a little bit of additional distance. Not sure if we have somebody on the door on the opposite side here, but gotta be a little bit anxious. If we have somebody on this door, though, there's some big distance. If it's not Nancy, it gets with two. Oh, no way. Stop. Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube, back with some more OCE League action. And while we had some unfortunate events that came up that caused some delays in post over here on YouTube, even though we were like almost at a full week of daily uploads, and we also unfortunately lost access to our VODs from the OCE League as far as week number 1. I want y'all to know the OCE League has been off to a banging start. And with that being said, actually week number 2 was absolutely no different. Started off with an absolutely fire matchup this morning, which is why I absolutely wanted to quickly get this thing uploaded over to YouTube in case y'all missed it. Now, we do have an all-new site that y'all can catch OCE games live every Friday and Saturday, 6 p.m. Sydney time, which with daylight savings time currently does make it 4 a.m. Eastern time here as far as in the States. I'll always have their link down in the description below, right next to their Discord, if you ever want to come in, hang out, see what OCE and what Dead by OCE has going on. All right, now we do see week number 2 start off with CatJam being able to steal the first set versus Genesis, who has looked phenomenal starting off their season. But would they be able to complete the upset, or would Genesis be able to turn things around? We're going to be starting off on the Suffocation Pit with the Blight. My favorite killer to cast. Y'all know this if you've been on the page before and you've seen my tier list. This definitely is one of those sets that lives up to the hype. Then we're going to be going to the Oni on the Sheltered Woods, Huntress on Wrecker's Yard, Executioner on the Cold Tower, and if needed, we will be seeing the Ghostface in the decisive set on the Father Campbell's Chapel. Don't forget to leave this video a like and a comment. That's going to help us put our content in front of more people, show people how dope competitive DBD is, as well as we're pushing for 500 subs over here on the channel. So make sure you check down below, make sure you've smacked that button, and then tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about it. All right, but y'all clicked on this video for the CatJam versus Genesis matchup, so let's go ahead, get right on down to that. And until we catch y'all back over here on YouTube, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q signing out. Yeah, I am pumped to see as far as how this plays out here. Genesis looked really strong as far as in week number 1, so we're going to see as far as them trying to carry that over. CatJam also looked pretty solid in their first week performance, and we're starting off with Blight on the Suffocation Pit, kind of a staple, I would say, when we talk about, or I should say 2 staples when we talk about comp, right? One being the Blight, one being the Suffocation Pit. We do see already finding us a survivor very, very early here. It does look like that Corrupt Intervention is more up on the main side of our map, and it does look like when we talk about how our RNG can sometimes treat us here on the Suffocation Pit, that middle gen is rotated just a little bit more towards the top side. So if you can get it down here really early and rotate this hook up that way, that'd be a really big start here.
Yeah, is Zarina going to just try to extend a chase for her team here? Attempts to go for the flare. It doesn't seem like it's going to work for her. So Blight's just going to go ahead and get his pick, maybe get a hook and see what he can do to see if he could maybe find a few of his other teammates. So if we look at his perks he's bringing too, he's ran with Thanatophobia, Ruin, Pop, and Corrupt. Just very common choice for Blight, especially coming to Suffocation Pit. And we got eyes on Ruin right in the middle of the map here. Look around, get some good eyes on Fang, gets a solid hit, and there's the pool on Zarina.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell. I think we had also had one of those unfortunate skill checks pop up right as we were getting hit. Also, I think there's actually a regression from a missed skill check as well before the actual sparks from the Ruin. I could be mistaken on that, but of course the Ruin is going to start bringing that thing back 200% as far as the regression. Right now we have 2 survivors injured, so an additional slowdown from that Thanatophobia you were talking about, 10% there. That's going to be another down here. We're looking at a second hook state before we even have the Corrupt off of these gens. This hook here is going to be rotated a little bit more central, but that should also allow our killer here to be able to put pressure right back over on that gen kind of mid-map.
I think if I was Blight right now, I'd be feeling pretty confident.
Oh,
I
yeah.
managed to put a lot of pressure on my survivors here, right on 5 gens before even one's managed to get popped. Not only that, Ruin's still up. Like, I don't have to worry about losing my perks, getting a nice down here, and with a player on hook, getting the on hook, just as I say he's on hook. So well played by the team there. Survivors making sure we're not going to make it free for him.
Yeah, and you talk about that feeling of just feeling confident right now. You're talking about having a really good snowball here. You've got one person on hook. As that person gets off hook, you're usually putting somebody else on hook, or at least have somebody injured in chase, which means really only potential for one survivor truly to be focusing on the objective. And of course, if that survivor at any point does get pushed off the gen because you're taking chase in that area, or rotating over for the save, you mentioned the ruin still being up. Good location on that is going to continue to help as far as that. So you combo that with a slowdown from the Bananaphobia and the fact that we just been able to get amazing pressure, I should say here, just with every chase really seeming to get tags. It looks like we're about to have 20. Oh no, this is going to be still with 15% slowdown. I thought this was our healthy survivor, but this might be another down still here at this point. This is crazy.
Yeah, so like if I'm with my team right now, you have a decision, right? You're like, look, we're on 5 generators. We really need to start getting gens done. He's already managed to get like 3 hooks, and not only that, but he also has 2 players still injured. So you have a decision of 1, do we do the generators, or 2, it looks like they're going decision number 2, which I was going to bring up, is to heal. And the full reset coming from the team, and it looks like we got our team's arena going down for the count. Maybe you're going to get hooked behind main building here, and we're going to see where Blight's going next.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first time really we've seen a lot of pressure back behind main, right? Mostly been kind of spending a lot of time in that mid-map more towards the shack side here. So this may be a time for our survivors to start attacking those gens across the way. It does look like that ruin has been cleansed, so at least you don't have any of the regression as far as that, but it does look like here we're going to be able to make our way back towards this middle gen that we've been able to put quite a bit of pressure on, trying to find the connection with the swing. Not going to be the case, but we are going to see moving back over towards the actual generator itself, actually finding a Fang here, so that is going to be another tag. Not worried about applying that pop here, but instead just simply trying to track down the Fang. Fang does make it through the vault, but vaults right back into the Blight. Nice mind game to be able to at least get the Fang to think you're moving the opposite way, moving right back in and establishing the down. Bazzi really on a tear here.
Yeah, Survivor's going for the flashlight attempt, just going to see if he can maybe get a save on his teammate. It didn't work how I wanted it to, but I definitely like to see just an attempt to at least try to save his team. It's always nice. And then we also have some nice chases at the top here. It looks like he's going to get eyes on you, going to get injured right off the rip. We got 2 players injured and a player on hook, and Ace has really got to try to put in some extra work for his team to make sure he can help carry here.
Yeah, and that's big, because I think that was actually the ace back there that we had just seen who happened to be pulling away. We do see over here that is going to be another survivor that's going to be left down on the ground. We are trying to commit for some very needed points here. That ace, but ace is going to be getting slapped off of the gen. 25% instant regression here. Thanks to that pop goes the weasel. Not only that pop goes the weasel there, but we're going to have another use of that pop available here in just a couple seconds.
So we got 4 players injured. These guys need to heal right away, or Thanatophobia is going to be doing a gnarly 20% of regression on these guys. Not only that, but he's getting pop coming right back up, and he's going to check back up on his gens here in the corner of the map and see if he can't maybe get a pop. Decides to go for main building. Maybe he has eyes on a survivor that I wasn't able to see, or maybe he goes for a weird flick. I don't know what that was about. But get some
I
eyes
think
on
he had
survivor.
seen somebody inside through the cracks and was trying to slide to get a connection through the window and kind of got caught, unfortunately. But we do see here at this point, the survivor wasn't really able to build too much distance. Is able to at least avoid throwing that pallet right outside, trying to prolong this chase just a little bit. Unfortunate vault there, not getting the fast vault, which does allow for the M1 onto the ace here. And I mean, at this point, if you're the survivors, you're just hoping to crush at least a gen, maybe 2, just so you can at least make it so you have a little bit of pressure for the killer coming, or no, the survivors coming out in this next trial. Because right now, with it already being a 3v1, I don't want to say that finishing all the gens is impossible, but with the way that Bazzi is playing right now, I don't think it's probable.
Yeah, I'm gonna 100% agree with you. When you're on 3 players left and 4 gens, suffocation. And not only that, we're not talking about any killer, right? This isn't Trapper we're versing right now. This is Blight. This is an S tier killer that's going to be extremely hard to loop or chase with. And then we got Fang right off the rip, getting hit. Going to see if she can maybe W key and buy time for her team. Running over to mid, see if she can't maybe work with a vault or something. But she's going to go ahead and get slapped right on the back of the head with Blight's cane here, and he's going to put her right back on that hook and show her what he's came to win, and he is not trying to lose this game.
Yeah, now here at this point, this is going to be a hook that is going to be rotated a little bit more center, and this is going to be an elimination hook here. So now going to be moved to the 2v1, able to find a connection on to the Nia. So both survivors that are left in the trial at this point, both being injured. This generator back in this corner also receiving a pop kick, 25% regression. Not sure where the ace is at currently, but of course, with the Blight's ability to remove these pallets, Nia's not going to be able to build the distance that you might be able to against other killers with that pallet throw there. Gets stunned stupid, dropping that pallet right on the shoulder there. Able to get the stun, going to build a little bit of distance, but of course with the little dead zone that we've already started creating back here, not going to have much more to work with.
Yeah, I think that hatch is looking kind of nice right now, Q. I'm not going to lie. If I was on my survivor side right now, I'd be like, all right, guys, we're getting the hatch. That's how it is right now. There's only 2 people alive. We're both injured, 4 gens. I mean, I like when you're at least going for a chase, right? You got to put on a show. We're not going to give it to you for free, Blight. If you're going to down me, I'm going to make you work for it. And now I think Ace is on top side of the map. I haven't really saw him on the bottom part of the map when Nia was looping on your shack. So he probably could even be playing for points here. Maybe he's trying to shoot to get at least one more generator out of the way. And great pallet drop from Nia. And she's really extending this chase, having a good run, just showing what their team can still do.
Yeah, it's I think you talked about maybe buying enough time for that extra gen, right? And I think that would be a really good additional point here. The only thing is you would like to get the gen at least before the down, because we can probably anticipate with the down here at this point, we are going to be seeing Bazzi. I thought we were going to go for the slug, I was going to say, so I wouldn't want to give away the location. But we are going to see still just a hook right down here, more on our shack side. This is a second hook, so I mean, you have the ability to progress the game a little bit if you just want to like accidentally miss 2 skill checks here, right?
Yeah, so I think if I was in this spot in this situation, ooh, getting the pool right away. I was actually not expecting that, to be honest. I thought Ace would have had to stealth a bit closer. I honestly thought it was still near the part of the map, but he did a great job getting the save, because I think Blight also thought that, because I mean, he managed to get it right. He must have not known that Ace was close, because he was able to pull right away. But it looks like he's going to leave Nia just in fear of not only having to worry about decisive strike potentially because he went locker, but also maybe he can get some more points on Ace here and just try to see if you can get a nice down on this T-wall.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is if you get the ace hooked, you gotta we want to remember that this ace has not been hooked yet, so that's gonna be big points for you. It is a fresh hook here. Plus, not only do you get the important points for the fresh hook, but that's less of a chance for a big sort of end game swing. Because even if bad habits happens to escape here, let's say via a hatch or some crazy 50-50 on a door or something like ridiculous like that, it's only 1 stage leaving versus the 3 that would have left here with NATO. So it's a very easy decision to switch over to NATO. Plus you also had to mend for Nia, so it's even more time, so you don't even have to worry about, again, the 3rd gen popping. And I mean, at this point, Bazzi just going to be able to cruise and just kind of enjoy. Able to get the and gets off the shoulder,
the wiggle, and they even get another gen done. That's actually extra points. That was extremely well done from the survivors part, not gonna lie. Really well played.
And now I'm going to be interested to see here, because we did take, a couple of chases up on this top side, but not too many. So we've got a couple of resources available. I do feel like most of our resources as far as what's attached to the main building back here is pretty well done. Faking the
Great
window.
fake.
Nice fake to be able to bait out the swing. We are going to see, though, not making it to the next pallet. That is going to be a down here. And again, since NATO is a fresh hook, easy decision to just go ahead and throw him up on a hook. And it's all the way back here behind main. You are by a door as well. So gotta love, you feel like you have a lot of momentum here from Bazzi. Plus you have location with a blown gen, unfortunately. So this is tough.
Yeah, survivors had a really rough start with Blight coming off right out the rip, coming like with on 5 gens. I believe he had like 2 hooks. He had an extremely good start, and the survivors still just not giving it to him. They're like, you know what? Again, if you want to down us and you want to manage to close out this game, we're gonna make you work for it. We're gonna try to extend this chase as long as we can. We're gonna buy time for our teammates to help us get some extra points for our gens, and it just shows like we are already down to 2 generators with only 2 survivors left, and Nia's trying to buy time. Maybe Ace can maybe die on hook and maybe give her a hatch play. It's possible. Goes for the flashlight, gets the blind. Looks like Nia's not going to be able to make it anywhere, but still, nonetheless, a great performance in the end game.
Yeah, I mean, a really strong performance here. It does look like doubling back just to make sure that you don't have a potential and there it is. Yeah, the deliverance across the way here. So one last second chance play here. This is also something to keep in mind. This will give bad habits here a chance to maybe be able to crawl away, force a bleed out. It wouldn't be a big point swing because it is on separate players. That's gonna get different players in. The only thing though is, of course, you know, with it's more second chance perks that are out of the way. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see you just go ahead and try and and he slaps him with the D. We're seeing all of those second chance perks here at the end of the trial. Luckily, Bazzi has afforded themselves the opportunity to kind of catch all of these here at the end because you've been playing so well. And we do see, of course, at this point, trying to hump main building back here is NATO, but at this point, you can just go ahead, pick them back up, throw them on a hook, and move towards your hatch and just move into the end game.
Yeah, so majority of the games when you're getting hit by Decisive Strike, Unbreakable, and Deliverance, you're probably DCing. But Blight's already at such a good point in this game, he really doesn't mind. He's only got 2 survivors left in the game. They're both injured. He's going to close this out, no problem. But Nia, she could definitely try to go for that long chase we were talking about. And again, Hatch is still definitely a play that could happen. Or she could even potentially try to save Ace. Who knows, maybe she was inching in. Maybe she's in one of these lockers right here trying to slowly get in to maybe go for another pull. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, though, because we got eyes on Nia right here on our generator, and we're going to try to get a nice fire down from Blight right here.
And we're just going to go one last time through the middle of Suffocation Pit. That is going to be the down here, though, at this point for Bazzi. So we are talking about a 4K at only 3 gens complete, setting the win condition for set number 1 here as far as for CatJam needing the 4K before the 3rd gen pops. That's I mean, when you talk about wanting to set pace for the day, I mean, I know we had said Genesis looked good in their first game of the season, their first matchup, but to come out and carry this over, this is impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was like pretty interesting there. How does the hatch usually come near top main building? Isn't hatch usually near shack, or is that just their decision?
I believe it's their decision there, if I'm not mistaken. You are opted to, so you can kind of choose that. I think some people like the main building because you get a little RNG to it, right? You can has a couple of different spots, whereas shack is like the one spot. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So we are seeing though, as far as for the trial. Overall, Genesis is going to be taking a 24-6 lead here as far as against CatJam. So it's going to be up to CatJam's killer here to try and come in and keep pace from what Bazzi set and trial number 1, I should say. So we'll be back after a quick break, and we'll be bringing trial 2 of CatJam versus Genesis. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. Back on the Suffocation Pit, going to be hanging out with Green Dean here, pushing directly into our Corrupt Intervention side of map. Up by Shack, not able to locate anybody right away. It does look like, though, we had a couple of people that were indeed back here by the shack, and we did happen to see that back by the shack was also that ruined totem, which has me believing that thing is not going to be standing too much longer here, as we do see the tag onto the Jake.
Yeah, Jake's going to try to take chase at the top of main building here and see what he can do. Maybe see if he can maybe make him pallet. Blight's going to try to zone him as far away as he can and see if he can't get the down. Got 1 rush left. Doesn't get it, though. Jake's going to try to W key and get some distance and maybe try to see if he can make this next pallet here. Looks like he doesn't get the stun, but he does make it safely, and then Claudette is going to take the next chase.
Yeah, and with that second hit there, our team is going to start feeling a little bit more of that Thanatophobia here. 10% slowdown thanks to that. That also means that it's 2 survivors that are back here that aren't currently working on a generator as well. But of course, with the ruin already being cleansed, not quite as big of a deal, but we are going to be seeing a relatively early down around that 90-second mark. And this is also back in the uncorrupt side of our map as well. So we should be able to go ahead and throw them right up on a hook and then go ahead and start patrolling these generators, trying to figure out which of these generators we want to apply this Pop Goes the Weasel to.
Yeah, Survivor's going ahead and call into their teammates right away. Hey guys, I need a heal, making sure we can heal right away. Because we had Claudette who was injured earlier on before she just went and got injured again here. And just making sure that everybody's going to try to play safe. But she's going to go ahead and get knocked down by Blight. Teams that are cool, Jake. Looks like they might try to get another heal on Jake right before Claudette gets hooked up to the next hook here. And we're going to try to see if we can't rush and prevent that heal from going down. Looks like he opts to go for the pop instead, which is probably the smarter call.
Yeah, especially because this generator here around the 75%, we are going to go ahead and drop plus 10 wood across the forehead here to Green Dean to be able to create a little bit of separation. Can't help but wonder if maybe we could have gotten some bigger value from that pallet later on in the trial, but we're going to have to hang on as far as at this point, see if the survivor is hanging around, trying to move in for the save. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. With that being the case, though, Green Dean is going to go ahead and check this Pride Rock gen. Someone over here, it looks like that's going to be the Zarina. That does get the tag. That is a second stack near now as far as the Thanatophobia. And we've even got some scratch marks over here as well. Right now, Green Dean doing a good job playing defense. We're talking about we've got a second hook state. We still haven't seen a gen pop. This hook is in the middle of our map as well. Really good defensive spot.
Yeah, this game feels a lot more patient already than the first game that we were watching. I feel like when I was watching the first game earlier, the game just started right off the rip and we already got 2 or 3 hooks. It looks like this Blight's going to try to play a lot more of, like you said, a defensive approach. Looks like he'd rather protect his hook and maybe just see if he can't get a second stage, which he does on 5 gens, which is going to be huge for the Blight to be able to take out a player much earlier on in the game. He's going to try to rotate over here and push, looks like we got a Jake hit at the top of main. And he's going to see if he can maybe get it down, but the pallet is going to be luckily here to save the Jake, unless Blight's able to make a play.
Yeah, we are going to see the attempt of the reach here as far as with the cane. Not going to be able to do it, but Green Dean has already naturally kind of been able to zone the Jake away from the center of the map there as far as before breaking that pallet. We're going to also see breaking up the main building, going to break up the strength of this tile back here, instantly throwing the pallet back here is the Jake. We're still sitting at 5 gens. Don't get me wrong, this is Genesis. I'm sure they probably got a couple of gens. What were we hitting there?
That was weird, huh?
But yeah, I'm sure that they're cranking a couple of gens across the way, but I am slightly concerned, and just the fact that we haven't even seen one yet, right?
Yeah, definitely the pace of the game has just been felt a lot more slower with 5 gens, and just nobody has been pushing. Unless there's, like you said, there's some 99 gens that are being worked on. Maybe they're working on bottom part of the map, but it looks like we have one survivor here that's trying to push on this part of the map, and he's going to go ahead and prevent him from finishing that anytime soon with Paco's the Weasel.
Yeah, so you're going to at least get the instant 25% regression there. We are going to be seeing generator number 1 now popping off in the distance, right? Anybody currently working on any other gens is going to be slowed down by the 15% here. That also with the 2 injured survivors, which means not only are you getting the slowdown on the gen, but that does make retrieving this survivor that's in the middle of the map a little bit more risky. Not sure if that was a dead hard to avoid the swing or not, but regardless, really good play to prevent getting horizontal there. But at this point, we're going to be heading back towards our unhook. I think we're going to try and complete out our tunnel out process. And if we're at a 3v1 before we're down to like 2 or 3 gens, granted, we only need to complete 4 gens for the win condition here, but still can't help but be just a little bit nervous given the circumstances.
Yeah, when you got 3 players injured and one's going up on the hook and there's still 4 generators left, I would definitely be concerned on how the rest of this game's going to turn out. But it definitely looks like these guys are going to try to work together and still make sure they could see if they could put on a show. Looks like Seabass got a heal from his teammate, and maybe he's going to try to take chase for his team. Nancy's probably trying to hide off in the distance somewhere, making sure she's not getting caught out of position, being injured. Looks like Claudette's going to be the one to take the heat, though, and maybe try to take a chase on Shaq. She's going to wrap back around, maybe make the pallet, and Blight's going to see what he can do to maybe potentially get this down. Great P-drop from Claudette, though, making sure she could buy time for her teammates here, because, again, this is Blight. This isn't going to be a normal killer that you can hit the window 20 times. This is a killer that you really got to make sure you're playing smart and making sure that you can just extend as much time as you can.
All right, so Chunguss, this is where I get really concerned, man. So we're talking about our generators. We're waiting on generator number 2 to pop. There it is, at least now in the distance. But this survivor currently, who is in chase here, mixtape, once they go on the hook, it's a 2v1. I know that we've kicked multiple gens across the way that have all been around that 75% mark, but we have to remember that with every hook concurrent here that we get concurrent here from this point, we can continue to get 25% regression with this pop goes the weasel. And we are not even quite yet to our tie condition. If Green Dean here happens to pick the right generator, apply the pop, goes the Weasel, gets the Nancy down, and then is able to find the Zarina, this still could be a win when we're talking about CatJam.
Yeah, if I'm looking at Survive right now and I really wanted to extend chase so we could by that time to potentially get the win, I'm trying to think of where I mainly want to chase right now, because we've seen a lot of pallets getting dropped on the bottom side near Shack, and I'm kind of thinking in my mind, I'm like, well, that's usually a strong spot you want to play, but it looks like he's going to maybe take the opportunity of playing main here, getting the pallet out of the way, going to extend this chase. Hopefully Nancy's doing another gen, see if he can't get it finished in time. Gets a blind on Blight, and he's going to try to get some distance and see what he can play off of here.
Oh, there's the down here at this point. This is going to be big here, because if the Nancy is working on a gen, which we can anticipate, it is slowed down just a little bit thanks to the Thananophobia. We see that this generator is still progressing since that last pop. Goes the Weasel kick. This generator back here has a whole lot of progress. This could be CatJam looking at possibly wrapping things up, coming back from what I think a lot of people would have anticipated being a very, I don't want to say impossible task, but a darn near impossible task. We do see, though, Bazzy is off of the ground across the way with the Unbreakable. That means the Unbreakable, though, we don't have to worry about anymore at this point. This is going to be one of those second chance perks out of the way, and the generator that we know that has the furthest progress is in the opposite corner of the map.
You know, it's kind of crazy. In the first game, too, when it came down to only 2 players, one of the players that was still alive was the Unbreakable player, so it's kind of close to the first game and how that was panning out. Now, it'd kind of be funny, too, huh, if one of the players, Seabass, was to also bring Deliverance and they were able to make some sort of play off of that. Now, I don't know if that's what they decided to go with or not, but it looks like Blight might just kind of come back for his teammate who was slugged on the ground and maybe just get a pickup and a hook and maybe put some pressure on his teammate here.
And actually, you know what? I thought this generator that was back in this corner was a little bit further. We can see there even before the dry kick, not quite all the way to that 75% marker. So still even 20 seconds worth of repair time needed on that generator. So right now we are going to be having a hook all the way back here on our main side of the map. This is a fresh hook, so there's plenty of hang time. But of course, the hang time also works on the flip side for Green Dean, because if we move into the end game, you can push right across here where you expect the hatch to be.
Now, I wanted to point out, too, I think Seabass has been doing a great job of just hiding from the Blight, making sure he hasn't getting... Well, commentator's curse right there, kicking in.
See, you did it.
Spoke too soon, and it looks like Seabass is going to be cursing me at the end of this match, saying, Chunguss, why? Because Seabass is going to eat that basement hook, and it's going to be 2 hooks right at the end game, 3 gens.
And that is insane. You talk about coming out here. Seabass had an amazing performance, getting the 4K before the 4th gen pops. And we had talked about the impressive performances that we had seen thus far. The deli is really nice. I'm kind of surprised you didn't wait a little bit longer for the deli, just in case this player has the DS. Because that would have been a little bit better of a potential chance to get towards this hatch. I almost feel like at this point, no, you don't. You don't risk it, right?
So I don't think you risk it, but at the same time, and most times when you're playing Deliverance as a build, you probably don't combo DS and Unbreakable, because Seabass did show they had.
Well, I was thinking the deli was what I was worried about.
Yeah. So a lot of players, like in a comp kind of setting, usually what they'll do is bring Deliverance and Unbreakable, because the Deliverance player tends to go for the pool, and so the reason that they're not bringing DS is because the player that's going to get pulled is going to be tunneled. So they need DS, not Deliverance. So oftentimes, the Deliverance player that's getting the pool will bring Unbreakable, because they tend to get slugged instead of getting tunneled. And so they'll get Unbreakable up, so that way the teammate that they're pulling, because they don't have Deliverance, is going to get tunneled, and that's why they have DS. So yeah, he's just going to go ahead and get the pick up here. It looks like that's going to be another hook.
And that's going to be it here. That is going to be wrapped. That's going to be CatJam coming out with the surprise in set number 1. I think surprise for what a lot of people would say. CatJam would probably like to say otherwise, but that's going to be CatJam taking set number 1 here. Blight on the suffocation pit. And it's going to be, was a very close score here. We're talking about a difference of just 2 points. CatJam 30, Genesis 28. Talk about a really impressive performance here from CatJam. They're going to be looking to carry that thing over. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing Green Dean out on the Oni or not, but we do know we're going to be seeing the survivors back out the same squad. So I think after having a performance like that, it's going to be really important for them to take this time in between sets, making sure they keep their communication and their chemistry right. That way, in case things go sour in the first chase, you don't want to get that feeling of, oh, here we go again, right, Chunguss?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thought process of this team right now. So, I mean, both have come to show that they can do really well, both playing Blight at a high level, both getting the 4K, nobody managing to escape both games. And I was bringing it up too, both times, not only was when there was 2 survivors left, there was 1 Deli player and 1 Unbreakable player. And I just thought that was kind of funny how that kind of panned out. But great chases from both sides. Looks like they were just trying to put on a great performance, and I think I really liked the first game just in that survivors just extending as long as they could because their start was really rough, but they really just brought it back. And game 2 just showing they could still show they could play killer side just as well.
And I do see we've got our squads already starting to load in, getting set up for set number 2. So we will be back with Oni on the Sheltered Woods after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. We are on Sheltered Woods to watch probably one of my favorite M1 killers. Going to be seeing the Oni-chan here. Oni's found 2 survivors over here, so we've got a very early hit. That is not what you want to see. Chunguss, we had talked about, right, needing to take this couple of minutes in between trials, making sure we're getting things together in case there is a very early mistake in this next trial. And then we're at 45 seconds into the trial. Not only do you have a hit, we could potentially be looking at a down and a use of the power already armed and ready to go for NATO. This could be huge.
Yeah, so for if you're going to get hit against any killer at the start of the game, the killer that you really don't want to be going down against is Oni, if anybody, because if this killer gets his power, the option to actually loop him is very minimal. You literally just sit on a pallet and then hope that it works out for the best. You really just want to play this out to where you can deny power as long as you can, for as long as Corrupt is going, until you can maybe get it down. And it looks like these guys just had a really rough start, starting out on that 2-0 wall, where it looks like Oni's going to get power, maybe try to see if he can't push another player off the gen. The other player's going to try to move off, see if they can't stealth and get away, but it looks like he's got his eyes on his target, and he's going to doesn't get the down just yet. NATO going to try to do his best to maybe see if he can't down Jake here. Going to try to do his best, and it's just not panning out for him.
Yeah, hasn't been able to find the connection just quite yet. We do see the sound notification for across the way. Nice down,
Great
though.
job.
At this point on to Taze, we do still have about a little bit, around a quarter of that power left as we go for the pickup, so it won't be as much work to get back into that use of the power. But we're talking about, as we see Corrupt intervention coming off of these generators, already have 2 fresh hooks. We only have 1 generator to show for it. Ruin still being here in play. This is really big for NATO, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ruin being in that far back corner and nobody has eyes or any idea of where that Ruin is at just yet, I think that's huge. Ruin's definitely going to put in a lot of work into him when it comes down to starting to minimize the amount of gens that are left in the game. He could potentially hold a very strong 3-gen if that's not dealt with eventually in time. So, if you look at the Blight games, Ruin was going down to 5 gens. Oni, it's been able to stick around quite a bit just on Sheltered Woods because I think they may be having a tougher time just figuring out where the totem might have spawned.
Yeah, and especially because it's not the most obvious response. Granted, it's not it's Sheltered Woods. It's not like they're tucked in the outskirts of the map like this is the Swamp Realm or anything, right? But it is definitely a way we're going to see +10 wood added to the face here by our Claudette, going to be able to build some distance. I do want to point out, though, we do still have 2 injured survivors across the board. Yeah, there's no Thananophobia in play here to slow down the game, but that does mean the longer those players sit, we have at least 1, if not 2 different blood banks sitting around the map that would allow us access to that power. Nice feign at the window here by the Claudette to be able to buy the swing and the miss. Gives you a little bit of time to work around. Now moving back into the corner itself, as we also see the reset onto Prixley. We have ourselves a nice pallet to be able to work around here, going for the swing, able to get the connection, which now at least means we have use of that power available. Now asking myself yet again from Genesis, where are the generators? We're sitting at only 1 gen complete, and we could be potentially looking at ourselves having another stage onto Prixley here.
Yeah, I think it's also an interesting choice to point out of the add-ons that actually Oni chose because I always want every time I see or I'm going up against the Oni, I like to see them bring a Keto's Crutch a lot, and that's not to say Lion's Fang and Splintered Hall, the add-ons he's using right now, aren't bad. They're actually very good. But every time I go up against the Oni player, I tend to be pretty indifferent about them. Some people like the speed, and then some people actually like the duration. They like to extend how long they can use their power. So I thought that was kind of cool to point that out a little bit here.
Yeah, and it's been interesting, right? Because we did see the first time you got yourself down relatively quick and we had a decent amount of power left, right? So the question will be, where do we see the value from that Fang itself coming into play? Because sometimes with that Akito's Crutch, that little bit of extra movement, you can catch survivors out of position. Of course, it does change a little bit as far
Definitely.
as your muscle memory, as well as far as being able to gauge how quick you close that distance, where you flick, when you flick. We do see going into the basement, not going to be able to make it all the way
Right
down.
down.
That is going to be one of those connections, though. Look at that, getting the down right before the end of the power here, thanks to that Lion's Fangs. I mean, granted, probably, I think that was just a basic M1. I don't know if that was a power slam, but it's still extra value nonetheless.
Yeah, so he's going to get his hook here in the basement. I think Oni's feeling pretty good, but the gen pressure has definitely been getting put it on. So at first we were like, where's that gen pressure at? We're still kind of lacking those gens, and survivors are definitely showing us, hey, we haven't forgotten about our generators. We're still here to win our objective. They've gotten us down to 2. We have a player in the basement, but he is on first hook, so he's going to have a lot of time there to just relax and kind of enjoy the basement for a little bit, take a nice gander, look around a little bit. And then Claudette maybe wants to get a heal here, though, because as we can see, Oni's kind of building back up his power, and the most scary Oni is definitely an Oni in his power.
Yeah, now we did see off in the distance generator 4 did pop, so Genesis did respond, right? Was able to push back, get some generators done. You had mentioned, though, we do have a survivor hanging out in the basement across the way. We do still have Bazzy dropping some blood orbs across the map. Also, we want to remember, at least not relevant at this point while we're in our power, because, we don't see the blood orbs as they continue, could be used for tracking. But Bazzy really is the last person. Sorry, not Bazzy. Mixtape is the last person that you would want to be found, and Mixtape would have been the one that was dropping the blood orbs, not Bazzy. I do apologize about that. But at this point, heading into the end game, the person that you would really most like to find would be Mixtape, as they are going to be the one that surrenders the most hook stages over to you, especially since you did force the second stage here onto Bazzy as well.
Yeah, it looks like Oni's going to try to look around his exit gates
Oh,
here
those
and see if he
doors are
can't find
beautiful.
somebody to maybe get a nice, quick, easy down with his power. And he's going to try to see if he can find some pressure here. But looks like survivors who were on that ASAP could maybe potentially be a wake-up game here. Gets the down on Jake. Great job from the Oni. Got still a player in the basement. Survivors need to act in order if they want to try to see if they can get a 3 out.
I don't know who was still behind us, but you heard that door was still getting operated on. I think we still have one other survivor somewhat in the area. I thought we see some scratch marks moving back towards the shack here. That has to be the Nancy, because if this is the Claudette, you're giving a really big potential here. That's going to be at least one down. Now might be even able to get a second one here. There's going to be the doors opening, so there's at least one survivor moving out. I would imagine probably counting out. But Alexa, set a timer for 15 seconds as we're going ahead and following up here. This should be a down before the window. Able to get that. Now I just can't help but wonder if our injured survivors might be rotating for one of these slugs.
One of the other things that was in the back of my mind is we have all survivors injured here, and he's building up blood as much as he can. Now, survivors, it's the exit gate, right? I mean, we don't really have the time to heal. These guys are going to go pick it up in the basement here, get his hook, and it looks like these guys are probably just going to clean it up for a 3 out, which is probably a respectable result. It's pretty good here. Oni did very well. He still has 2 add-ons here, the Lion's Fang and his Splinter Hall. He's going to maybe see if he can't get any distance on these guys, but nah, they're not even going to play the safe. They're just going to take the 3 out and be pretty content with it.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, you're looking at a really strong hook count here, 7 stages. I would think a lot of people would consider that on the stronger side for the Oni, a killer that does typically tend to struggle a little bit, especially in the early portion of the trial. Was able to get those stages early, able to really collect those up. So we're actually still, though, looking, as far as on the survivor side, it looks like taking a little bit of a lead. Genesis able to go with a total score of 16 points with the 6 stages out the door, compared to the 14 points here from CatJam.
Close.
Yeah, so it is still going to require CatJam's survivor to still be able to come out and have a very strong performance. I'm going to be interested to see how our killer here from Genesis kind of comes out with a little bit of vengeance, knowing they're already down 0-1 in what a lot of people would have considered an upset in set number 1, wanting to avoid the upset in set number 2. So we will be bringing trial number 4 between CatJam and Genesis to y'all after a very quick break.
Welcome back in, everybody. We got Shelter Woods with Oni tonight. We're going to see how we're going to do, and I hope everybody got to enjoy the break. Maybe got a few drinks here and there, and maybe grab some popcorn to watch the next match. We're going to see if the survivors can maybe come to maybe get a better result in the first round. We got the same add-ons as the first game with Lion's Fang and Splintered Hall. It looks like a fan favorite, but we also have a different choice of perks. So if you notice, Oni actually brought Rancor and Noe out this game instead of bringing Noed like last game. Looks like he's going to mix it up and see if he can get a better performance. And he wasn't able to get as quick of a hit in the first game, but he's definitely going to see if he could try to get down Nia and maybe get that first hit on 5 gens.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, that we are going to see as far as with the builds here, and we already saw is with one pallet getting removed relatively quick, the brutal strength going to be coming into play, especially when we talk about Unsheltered Woods, a smaller map kind of known for having a little bit less of those resources anyways here. So might already be looking at a second pallet soon be getting dropped and removed out of the way, so we can start talking about creating some dead zones here. Sure, we haven't gotten that first early hit the way that we had seen our killer last game do, but if you can deplete the resources, maybe make things easier, especially if, say, maybe while you're in a power later, you can get a little bit of additional snowball pressure with one person slugged and less resources on the map. But we are moving more back towards this corner here along the jungle gym. We do have the short wall here that the Zarina is, or not, yeah, that is the Zarina, is using very, very well. I think that was a live that might have came into play there to be able to create a little bit of extra separation to make one revolution around. Generator number 1 has already popped. We're almost at that 2-minute mark here, which makes me think we might be seeing even a second, if not a third generator popping shortly.
Yeah, it looks like the survivors are going to have a much stronger start than the first game, but Oni's definitely going to get his hit eventually in time. Now, his corrupt is down, and the survivors did manage to get a generator within that hit, but anything can happen within an Oni's power. We've seen it definitely multiple times in the past where Oni has managed to slug multiple survivors on the ground at once, but looks like Zarina's just going to extend this chase, try to buy as much time as she can for a team, try to play the T&L wall, gets a fast fault here, and it's going to drop a lot of blood for the Oni, and Oni's going to have to make a choice. Does he want to stick to Zarina here and maybe get the down, or would he rather leave and maybe go for somebody who's fresh?
Yeah, it does look like we had just an inopportune skill check pop up for whoever was working on this generator. Does unfortunately miss the skill check, means you've got a little bit of regression onto that generator. That was the Jake here. It looks like going to be, no, not the Jake. I just can't apparently point out my survivors
Jake,
here.
Yeah, they look like the same.
Yeah, somebody with 2 legs is running away from the Oni right now, moving towards the TNL actually at this 3 position. And, should be able to get the down here. That's a really good down, but with the Lion's Fang, you have more time. You'd mentioned the ability to maybe go for some slugs. I thought maybe that might have been the chance. However, we see generator number 3 popping up in exchange for just 1 hook.
Yeah, so he's got his 1 hook here. Looks like Zarina's maybe leaving a bit more blood for him on the map. Now, he needs to go and figure out where all this blood is, because if he really wants to see if he could capitalize on his hook that he just got on his team here, he needs to make sure he can at least have power, so if he does choose to camp this, he's going to camp it safely. Nobody's going to be able to get that pool with an Oni power coming. They're going to have to leave him on hook. They won't have a choice. So the Oni's probably going to try to maybe make a good zone here. I like the decision to break the pallet from the inside to the out, so that way if the survivor, he gets to have to be stuck in a dead zone, or just a jungle gym on tap, but a great choice of dropping this pallet, saving time, doesn't want to risk even getting hit, giving the Oni any more power.
Yeah, I like too. You had the fake at the window because we did see it looked like we were anticipating the vault itself allowed a little bit more time to make that revolution over for the pallet drop itself. We also see the sound notification across the way. That is going to be the unhook. That is going to be enough for our killer here to break back across the map. I think they were over here on the backside of our long L wall. We see at least one person through the window trying to make the wraparound. I think they should be able to get all the way back through the window to the opposite side. Really patient looping being displayed, at least thus far. Finding some more scratch marks back towards the corner. Not going to be able to get the down. Really good drop as far as the pallet to at least get it just in time. But this point, able to find the down onto our Zarina.
Yeah, if we notice, Shelter Woods is one of the maps that doesn't have as much use for pallets, but even the survivors here just utilizing as much as they can, even with the lack of pallets that they have. Three survivors going to go ahead and split up and see if they can't put some pressures on some generators. There's still two left in the game, and the game can pan out in many different directions. We have found our injured survivors, so we're going to collect some blood, try to get our power back, and see if we can maybe get our down here. Looks like we got a Z-wall maybe that this survivor is going to have to play. It doesn't look like he has much left to use. He's just going to try to buy as much time as he can. Gets to actually W key away, which was pretty impressive from the survivor part, being stuck on a Z-wall. But he's got nothing left to work with, and he's going to go down.
Yeah, and this is unfortunate too because this is Bad Habits. Bad Habits was the first survivor that was hooked, so you already have one survivor on the verge of being able to be removed from the trial. We might even be, not seeing a second stage forced as far as on to Nyx, but Bazzy does have control of the power. What do we do here? Do we control this unhook? Do we patrol our gens? I think Bazzy's trying to figure out what the decision is. We do see the pop of the power at least, and you mentioned that Lion's Fang earlier, so this should allow us plenty of time. There's going to be at least the one down. Now going to go for the slug as well. This is where things could really get interesting.
Yeah, so the snowball here could definitely be very big for our ONE player. He's going to look around the map and see if he can't find the two players that are still left standing. One of the teammates could be rotating back for the hook, and I think Bazzy had the same idea. Gets the pool. Great job from the teammates being able to get the pool before the ONE was able to make it back. Borrowed time going to really kind of rob ONE out of a bit of his time here because he needs to get that extra down if he wanted to have any sort of snowball potential. But it looks like he's kind of out of time, and he's going to need to go for the pickup.
Yeah, and that is going to be a down. You are dropping Nia here yet again like a bad habit. This would be an elimination here if this ends up being the case. Tried to go for the flashbang, not going to be able to be the save. That is an elimination. That is 4 stages thus far. We aren't quite to the same result that we had seen in our previous stage here. If you get this generator complete, you still could be looking, or actually, no, yeah, you still actually have, 2 stages to give, as long as they aren't both the fresh hooks left, if you want to.
Yeah, so I think Rancor is something else to keep in mind as well, Q. So, like, we also, if I'm thinking I'm Oni right now and I have Jake as Rancor, I'm probably not even interested in him until it gets around to the end game. So, assuming we even get to the end game with 1 generator left, but I'm probably going to focus. I like what he's doing here, focusing rather on Zarina or Claudette, because if he finds Jake in the end game, it's out for him. It is GG's. He's going to get that more, he's going to get the kill, and he's going to secure 3 states right off the rip.
Yeah, that's a really good point here, especially as we do see the M1 onto the Claudette here, onto Momo. And Momo, as we had mentioned, is one of the other survivors that is a fresh hook here. So if you can get 1 fresh here, then also have the potential of being able to remove, whether it's Jake or if something happens to happen that causes your obsession to switch. But if you can get them in the end game, that could be huge. It looks like this is going to be Nyx here. Nyx is going to be able to at least drop the pallet. Not going to be able to get the stun, but at least prevents the down. But there isn't going to be much else going on back here. We also had heard this generator has a lot of progress. Not sure if maybe we have another generator elsewhere that's just as far progressed, but it looks like I thought we were gonna go for the slug here. I do like this decision to go ahead and pick up Nyx though.
Yeah. Gets the final gen on the for the survivors here. These guys need to make their way over to that exit gates and try to see if they can't get these gates open. Now, Jake needs to hide. Rancor is online. He needs to hide and make sure that he's not able to get caught. But if he stays hidden, it's also going to make it very difficult for Claudia to ever get this pool because, 1, she's a chase. He's about to die. But 2, he needs to make a decision. Oh, look, if I go pull my teammate, I'm giving the Oni my position. I'm telling him, hey, I'm looking over here. I'm pulling my teammate. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, the only problem is we do see what's going to try and go for the door, and that also unfortunately gives away the position thanks to the no way out. Now, you did manage to touch the door before that 3rd stack came into play, so only 2 stacks the no way out, 36 seconds. Already half of that has expired, but even though that's the no way out and there is no NOED in play, there is the Rancor. This is the survivor. That is our obsession here. So things are about to get spicy. You're going to be trying to not leave any scratch marks behind. You've got survivors across the way. Do you think you still try and make a door play here, or do you wait and play it a little bit patient? Wait for the sacrifice onto Momo and make a play at the door while Bazzy is forced to go for the hatch.
I think this is a tough call. I think Jake is in a tough position. He really has to choose the right decision, or else his game could just be led to a 4K. So I like his I really like how well he stealthed in the back there, because he told Oni where he was at with no way out. He's like, "Look, I'm on the gate," and he still didn't manage to find him. So the stealth there was very, very smart. And I think with their teammate hit second stage, I think Jake is going to opt to make some sort of stealthy play, where if one, he's going to go hatch, or two, maybe he might actually just choose to go for the one out. He's got a few decisions here. Rancor could really just straight up kill him if he ever gets caught. So I think maybe the stealth move is to be playing the safer side.
So we are going to be seeing here now, at least the second stage has been forced. Probably just going to be seeing 2 missed skill checks, then moved into the end game. Unfortunately, at this point, even if you were to get the save at this point from Jake and then get out the door, which, let's be honest, would be very, very impressive, still unfortunately not going to be enough. So this is going to be Genesis bouncing back, takes set number 2 here. I'm sure Bazzi would still prefer the 4 instead of the 3K, so is going to take a quick second around in the Demon Dash here. This is where I feel like if you might be potentially making a play at that door across the way, especially if they have had the good communication, right? Clicky should probably know from Momo that this is where Bazzi's sitting, waiting for the hatch. You should maybe have enough time for the door. I'm not sure.
So you remember earlier on in Suffocation Pit, we were bringing up how the hatch was spawning on main building, and you brought up Q. You were like, well, it's because it spawns in more of a random area. And if you noticed, Oni was right on the direct spot of the hatch, knowing exactly where it's going to be. And that's exactly what we were talking about, the decisions between maybe going with a main building hatch and rather going with the shack hatch, because a shack hatch is going to be at that same spot every time.
Yeah, so that is definitely something we'll have to look forward to, as far as maybe even potentially in this next set as we do. Oh no, won't be this next set, because actually this next set, similar to like Sheltered, not with the main building. We are going to be moving to the Huntress on Wrecker's Yard, but that is going to be, as we do see here. Wait.
Was it? Hold up.
Am I missing something here?
What, am I seeing something right now? I saw a solid game. I saw Oni manage to take some cheeks. That's what I saw.
Yeah, that was really impressive. Yeah, so it is 1-1 here. We're gonna be moving into the Wrecker's Yard here. Should be very interesting to see how this next set plays out, with both teams really trying to vie for position and vie for a lead at this point. So we will be back for that set here after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another. Holy cow, we found somebody really quick here as well.
Right,
we're gonna go ahead. Yeah, we're finding ourselves back in the fog here. We're on the Wrecker's Yard here, back with Bazzi on the Huntress, finding ourselves a survivor very fast here, about 30 seconds in. And while we have a second, while we go here to throw Nia up onto a hook, just wanted to address. I know I had kind of paused at the end there of our last trial. We were having an issue with our scoreboard that we needed to address. For some reason, it wasn't adding the last points from the last trial as far as for Genesis. But Genesis did indeed win that last set, so it is 1 set point apiece heading into set 3, being the Huntress here. And you're talking about already having a hook. Seabass off to a good start.
Yeah, so when you're playing as the Huntress and you're able to get a hook this early on into the game, you are definitely feeling pretty good right now. For one, you're slow as shit, bro, and you can't find anybody. So the fact that he was able to find somebody right off the start is a really, really, really good for Huntress. And I also think it was interesting that the Survivor teams have managed to get in the heal and the pool this quick. And then it looks like Huntress caught on. She's going to go back and see if she can't interrupt any kind of shenanigans that might be afoot. If these guys are going to work on a generator, maybe going to split up, get some eyes on the Jake, and it looks like he's going to try to take chase for his team here. Doesn't get the hatchet hit, but he might be able to get one of the M1s.
Oh, that's going to be unfortunate. If you would have at least been able to get that last hatchet there, would have been able to turn it into an M1 relatively quickly. Instead, missing that. Going to be seeing Bazzi here stopping off next to a locker real quick, grabbing some of these hatchets. There's going to be generator number 1 popping off in the distance. It is worth noting that we had seen those shutter ores from the Rancor. We had seen survivors split up across some gens. So yeah, we're talking about a second down here relatively quick, but we might be seeing a second, maybe even a third gen soon.
Yeah, he gets another hook here. He's doing. I think Huntress is actually off to a pretty strong start. Now they did lose a generator, and I think that's usually bound to happen. Again, you are very slow when you're playing the Huntress, but you do kind of make up for that, and that's why you have your hatchets. So you got range. So maybe you might not be as fast to get to another part of the area, but your hatchets do make up for that with the lack of speed that you are making. So he's going to try to come over to this generator, maybe going to look around and see if he can get an eye on a survivor or two. Going to wind up, maybe see if he could can't find anybody just yet though, and maybe if he comes back to this hook, he could see if he could grab a hatchet on somebody.
Yeah, we are going to see here, though. Not able to find a connection here. This is a survivor rotating in for the unhook. Doesn't look like they're going to go for the pull right away. Not sure if that might be a sign of not having the borrowed time or maybe just not being comfortable going for the save. Of course, this is the pretty typical Babushka half combo there that we're seeing in the bottom left-hand corner here, which it can make it a little bit more difficult to get the save whenever the Huntress has a couple of those hatchets armed and ready to go. Second stage forced, though, here at this point. If we are committing to gens over friends, I feel like we need to be seeing this third gen popping really soon.
Yeah, so something I want to say about Hunters too is like you'll see certain killers kind of have more of a different direction of how they play the game rather than others. And what do I mean by that exactly? Well, I'm going to get into that. So like the matches we were watching earlier with Blight, usually if he got a hook, he was rushing, he was out of there. And that's because, well, this killer is extremely fast. He can just cover so much ground within his power, unlike maybe say a killer such as Huntress, who actually would do much stronger in a camping scenario. So you'll see, like, okay, if you're going to go play a pub game and you're playing a killer such as Bubba, or you're playing a killer such as Huntress, you do actually more well just securing one part of a map rather than going to another totally different area of the map just because of your speed. So you actually have to play the game quite different depending on the killer that you're going to go with here. And we can see Huntress already starting off trying to get as many hooks as she can.
Yeah, and we can even see here as we look around too, Bazzy does have a pretty decent generator situation moving into the mid portion here. I mean, we can see a really nice 3-gen scenario that we're going to be working around here. Not going to be able to interrupt this generator here, unfortunately. So that is going to be Jake catching a hatchet to the back, now going to be taking an M1 before they're going to be able to make it into the actual pallet space itself. We do see that there was a save across the way, so we've at least gotten that survivor up off of the hook, but this is going to be another hook stage as far as this portion of the game. That is an elimination here as well onto Clicky. So it's now down to a 3v1. Really preferably, you would like to find, well, Momo actually.
Hey, we get there.
There they are. That's going to be our last fresh hook here, which is going to be big because we haven't seen the completion of the 5th gen, which means you have already gotten all of your stacks for your no way out here. The one thing, though, that we got to keep in mind is this survivor that is going up onto the hook is our obsession.
Now, Huntress is personally one of my favorite killers, and just it's a killer I personally really enjoy. So when I get to see somebody else play her and see maybe some decisions they get to make and some thought process that goes through her head, I always find it pretty interesting. So like a lot of times when Huntress, one of the most biggest things about her is never actually its accuracy. The biggest thing about Huntress is actually just patience. Like, how long can you hold up this hatchet? You don't even have to be accurate. Eventually the survivor, they'll just run into your hatchet.
Right.
You can just hold that up, and most of the time they'll do something where they'll just boom line up right for you.
Yeah, get locked up into an animation one way or the other. We do see not going to be able to make the connection here, so we do have 2 injured survivors across the way since there was a unhook on to Momo here. No help as far as regression when we talk about Pop Goes the Weasel or anything, but there's going to be the down on to Momo. When the moon hits your eye and it's your turn to die. That's Amori. That is going to turn this thing into a 2v1 relatively quick. We do see it looks like the no way out has been proxed, but our team has to wait an additional, at this point, about 45 seconds before they can even start powering these doors.
You know, that singing voice was kind of on point, though.
I try, man. I try. You know what I mean?
Good. Yeah, but we got 4 no way out stacks over here, and it looks like our survivors are going to try to see what they can do to maybe make at least one escape, because it's going to be pretty hard with 4 no way out stacks, especially if the Huntress is able to locate one of the teammates before the no way out is down. The timer is going down, but so our survivors, so we can already tell that they're not together, and the reason that we're able to tell they're not together is because Zarina is still injured. So like if you're together, you're gonna heal your teammate. You don't want them immediately going down, and that probably tells the Huntress these guys are split up. They're gonna try to be on maybe 2 different parts of the gates, because once the snow way out time is over, at least one person should be able to make it out.
Yeah, I mean, we do have the ability to put down damage from range with the Huntress, but and they do have relatively decent doors. But yeah, if you 50-50 these doors at this point, you should be able to at least get one person out. The good news for you, if you're the survivors, you don't have a preference as far as which survivor gets out. Both of them only having been hooked once. We do see, though, we got a miss with the one hatchet. That's a second hatchet miss. That is going to be an M1, which should allow for a speed burst moving towards this door over here. Not sure if that might mean Zarina already over here priming this door, getting it ready to go. 3 hatchets left in the chamber. There's going to be the door. Oh, I think was trying to. Oh, that's going to be another miss. We only have 2 more shots. One more shot. No way. But he's out the door. Wow.
Goes the distance, able to dodge the hatchets, make sure he can make it out alive. Great chase from Ace at the end game there.
That was very, very impressive to be able to pull that off. You're able to dodge all but 2 hatchets. Or no, all but 1 hatchet, because one of them was the M1 that you got before you go through the vault to be able to get the out there. Really, really impressive from our survivors. So what we're going to be looking at here is CatJam, or Genesis, I'm sorry, currently with a lead of 4. 18 points for Genesis, 14 for CatJam. So, man, this matchup continues to be played very, very, very close to the chest. But 4 stages out on Wrecker's Yard is going to be it's going to be interesting to see how our survivors from Genesis are going to be able to respond, and if they're going to be able to do the same, if not better. So we're going to go ahead and switch these sides here. Bringing trial number 6 to y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, back on the Wrecker's Yard, hanging out with Bad Habits here. And you will notice that there is a change to our scoreboard. Unfortunately, when loading into the trial, we did see a ban perked, a sprint burst get brought in by Genesis. So that will result in the -3, now bringing the score 15-14. Also, in case we have any people watching who don't know about some of the changes as far as in the OCE region, now those points are, if you get 3 warnings, you can actually end up dropping the set. So Genesis going to want to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's for the rest of this matchup.
Oh my god, these survivors are already off to such a bad start, Q. Like, we got somebody in the basement on 5 gens and managed to get that down. Claudette looked like she was trying to wrap up and see if she couldn't come over to get the flashlight save, but it really just didn't work out for our survivors here. Remember I was talking earlier how some killers do pretty damn well at camping? Well, looks like our team over here, Bad Habits, is going to go ahead and capitalize on it, seeing as he can protect not only a generator, but it is going to be so hard to pull their teammates out of the basement hook, because one, he's got to add on OCAF that decreases the throw time. So as soon as he pops a hatchet on one of the teammates to get the injury, he can immediately go for either a grab or a down. And 2, it's the basement at the end of the day. Like, if you go in the basement, bro, you might as well just wrap it up right there.
Yeah, I mean, especially when we talk about with that babushka OCAF, right? I mean, for that reason, Bad Habits here going to hang around the basement, and understandably so. And especially when you take into account, right? Like, we had a pretty strong performance from the survivors of CatJam. You know, you were able to get the 4 stages out, but then when on top of that, Genesis hands 3 points back to you as well, it makes the decision to camp here that much easier. And you talk about already, oh no.
Oh, we got the stun, actually.
How big is Bad Habits' nose, my guy? It didn't look like we were in that mouth. That's going to be fine.
He respected that. Yeah, it looked like he was trying to, and he still got smacked right on the dome, bro.
That's tough. We do see, though, it is going to be hook number 2 in the basement. It is another fresh hook, and I think the fresh hooks are going to be something we're going to want to make sure we're keeping an eye on, because you need to make sure you get all 4 fresh hooks. And then I think as long as you get, 2 eliminations, you're good to go because of the penalty. You might only need 3 fresh hooks and then 2 eliminations because of the penalty. I'm not sure yet.
Food for thought here too. Like, yeah, the basement is a great hook. I'm never gonna say that's never a bad play, but I also think something to keep in mind is if we look at the perks below, he brought Scorch Hook, so it's like, getting the basement is great, and it's definitely a good position when I have a survivor on. But it ever raises the question though, is like, do I actually sometimes would rather, instead of going basement, would I rather just try to go for a bit of aggression here?
Oh man, I think because of the strength of the basement and because that requires survivors to then move back to the middle and be forced into the same situation.
It's probably not in the question, huh?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason, especially because inevitably at some point you figure that you're probably going to be losing that basement, kind of like we have at this point. Now you can start now you can start using the pain resonance kind of as we had seen here, and with that pain resonance, that is going to be a third fresh hook here as well. So I mean, really good start here for Bad Habits.
Yeah, I want to point out by Bad Habits too. I really enjoy the patience that he's doing when he's holding up his hatchet. So you'll notice a lot that he's literally just holding it up, waiting for the survivor. He's waiting for them to have this kind of snake-like pathing. So a lot of survivors, what they're doing when they're trying to run away to dodge a hatchet, is they have this thing where they will weave out to the left, but eventually they're going to come back down into the right, and that's actually where the hatchet is being lined up from the Huntress, waiting for them to come back into the sights so they're able to get that shot. And I just really enjoy the patience from Bad Habits right now.
Yeah, and I mean, oh, dude, this is crazy because now we're talking about only 2 gens thus far, 3 fresh hooks across the way, especially if we can start continuing getting these downs in areas by the pain resonance. And when you talk about pain rest, I mean, it's not only gives you the regression, but generally also gives you some map awareness, right? So it's kind of like that double-edged sword on, especially when we talk about a killer like Bad Habits, who seems to be very, very strong, not only as a killer, but especially on the Huntress here, doing a very, very fine job. It seems like they would love every last bit of information they can get.
I also think it's impressive, not just from Bad Habits, but from the survivor side. As soon as I saw the survivor go down in the basement on 5 gens, I honestly thought it was a wrap. I'm like, this guy's dead and out of the game, bro. There's no way he's getting out of here. But the survivor's just proving me wrong and wrong again. I've been having some bad calls today. But these survivors are showing me that you really just can't do anything with the right team and the right calls and the right mindset to try to make your team get the right escapes. Because we're down to 1 generator, having a tough start, but survivors are really bouncing back.
Yeah, and this is going to be big because, I mean, now with Prixley here, this is going to be their second hook. We do get a little bit of information from that pain resonance. Looks like we've got 2 survivors over there, and we do got to keep in mind, if they finish this generator, the survivor that could be removed from the game thanks to the Rancor, currently on a hook.
So now that we are survivors, there's 1 generator left, 4 survivors alive. I think the goal is we're all going to just try to split up here. One's going to rotate up for the save. Looks like they're going to do that, just as I was saying it. And then somebody's going to try to take chase, extend it, and maybe there could be a generator completed near the Yan hook. He's just going to throw pallets. Doesn't want to make sure that he's not going to get mind gamed or have any bad chase with the Huntress to where things can maybe go wrong. Just wants to get those pallets down, and if he's going to waste time breaking them, he's totally okay with that.
Man, it's interesting here. I mean, I understand wanting to come back over this way, right? You've got 2 different gens over here. You had the unhook come in. We do see that reset coming in relatively quickly here as well. So 4 survivors across the board, completely healthy. We see survivors pre-leaving. Unfortunately, when you do play the Huntress, you do have that lullaby, which goes a little bit further than your terror radius. So gives survivors that ability to play just a little bit more safe. We saw the 2 sets of scratch marks heading from this gen. Do you anticipate the people who had gotten the save and concurrent reset over here are probably paired up on the farther gen?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I imagine we need to have at least 2 survivors pushing this generator in the far corner of the map, and then you also probably need to have at least 1 or 2 survivors pushing the generator near the hill gen. So that way you can split pressure, and the Huntress has to make a choice. So if she always comes back to this side of the map and you had all your teammates over here, she would never have to worry about making the choice of going back to the hill gen. But survivors playing it smart, trying to split up and maybe get some distance to where they could try to at least get one of these generators done to maybe make it out of the exit gate.
And we are going to see here breaking away from the chase. I do like this decision. I mean, realistically, if there's anybody that you don't want to be in chase with right now, it is kind of Prixley, right? Like, you don't want to be getting that elimination, I feel like, before heading into the end game, especially if you can get maybe, I don't know, Bazzi, who would be a fresh hook here. Yeah, you would love to be able to get the Mori in the end game. Granted, right now your Mori's going to be just getting you the same amount of points as a hook, right? Like it's not like it's burning you in an extra stage like we have seen in previous trials here. Now, though, at this point, you've found a mixtape. You've gotten yourself the health state change. I'm sure mixtape here just going to be gumping it out to the opposite side of the map, just holding W out here. And who's that back we got behind us? Might be playing too many games. I feel like we should just be slamming out this last gen.
Yeah, the survivors definitely playing a bit aggressive, trying to see if they can't maybe stall or make it a distraction so that way their teammate can stay alive. They could try to be coordinating a body block. Maybe that's a thought process here, or maybe the other teammate just wants to pull him off his teammate entirely. Looks like he's got two survivors here gonna take chase and try to see if they could buy time. There's the no way out proc in the bottom corner there. Survivors have a choice. They need to wait out and hide this corrupt, or they definitely need to extend this chase because Claudette might be going down.
Yeah, but I think we had also wasn't the Zarina the one who had jumped out of the locker too? Wasn't that who I think I had seen? If that's the case, that is Bazzy, who would be the survivor that would yield you the most points this late in the trial. And I'm trying to think here with the point penalty. Oh, it's not. This is actually the Nancy here. This is big because it's not going to be quite as many points. Nancy has already been hooked. We do have the no way out that it's about to be off of the doors as we speak as well. Oh man, this is going to come down to the wire because I feel like right now you really either need Bazzy or you need two different eliminations, I think.
I think Bad Habits had like a really strong start, and I thought this game, I really thought that Killer was actually going to have a great advantage over the survivors with the early hook in the basement. I'm like, he's going to make this player hit second stage. If not second stage, he's going to confirm a kill. But survivors managed to get the save, make sure they can try to get a 3 out on their way out of the end game here, and there's going to be the Mori for Brother Nancy.
When the moon hits your eye and it's your turn to die, that's a Mori. It is only one stage, however, but you get the end game animation. I can't wait till we get to the point where we can see that without like the actual having going into animation if it's the last hook like they've been talking about. Mm-hmm. But it is going to be here a close game or close set here, but Genesis is going to be taking set number 3 here. This is going to be a score of 32 to 26 now in favor of Genesis. And I know we had seen the surprise in set 1 for CatJam, but it definitely seems like Genesis has really started to reel things back in, right?
Yeah, it looks like Genesis is really trying to come back on top and show that they've come to not only win this set, they want to win everything overall. So Genesis is really showing up not only in the Blight match, and they've come through on the Huntress match. They really want to win the set, and they really want to show to these guys, you know what, we've come to play, and we're not going to treat this game like any other. We're going to try to win.
Yeah, so we will be back with set number 4, which is going to be the Executioner on the Coal Tower. We will be back with that for y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip back on into the fog. Going to be hanging out with Green Dean here on the Coal Tower. Going to be starting off this Executioner set here. And Green Dean is going to be feeling a little bit of the pressure here, of course, as right now really going to be wanting to get things off on the right foot because you are currently down 1 set point to 2. And, of course, if you drop this set, we won't even get the chance to see Ghostface on Father's Campbell's Chapel, which would be a big feels bad from me. So hopefully we're going to be able to keep the pressure. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to find it down quite yet. Getting some value, though, from the Ruin, pushing some people off this gen.
Yeah, my man Executioner coming out tonight. So I kind of like to compare him to Huntress in a little way. So he's a killer that likes to be patient when he's coming around loops. So the way that you're usually going to use him is you're going to hold down power, and sometimes you won't even actually use the power. You'll just use it to where eventually the survivors are going to mess up. Then maybe they'll make a flare to predicting you to use your shot, or maybe they'll just kind of eventually come into a point where they don't throw a pallet and they could just get a hit. So in that kind of sense of patience and a zoning aspect of Pyramid, I'd like to compare him to Huntress in our previous game.
Yeah, and we are going to hear that loud sound notification across the way. So that is going to be the Ruin now getting cleansed as we do see our Jake going up on to the shoulder and now up onto the hook. Hook stage number 1 here for Green Dean. Not bad here. We do still have the Corrupt in play. We do see the Dead Man switch also coming into play here, which of course gives you a little bit of additional slowdown, right? Nobody can work on those gens here for the next couple of seconds. Also worth noting, you're able to get the M2 before the pallet. Might even be able, just imagine though, if you had been able to hit that. Trying to work our way around, see if we, got caught in the animation. That's going to be another down. That's tough.
Yeah, so anytime you're going up against Pyramid Head, it's like really tough to loop this killer and make any kind of play, because anything that you do, he shoots one shot. Even if you're not there just yet, he can potentially hit you. So he's a killer. Not only does he shoot through walls, he shows there, he can also hit you through a pallet. So you really got to try to make the best call and best decision. And sometimes you just even play a 50-50 of a guess if you're going to make the vault or not. So killer, that's just very difficult to go against when it comes to looping. But Pyramid Head, he's going to try to put some pressure on our other survivors over here. Move away from a bit from the hook and chase our brother Yoichi, choosing not to commit on Killer Shack, may waste too much time, and he's going to rotate around, see if he can get some information on some other survivors.
Yeah, kind of understandable though, wanting to stick around here. Unfortunately, going to be forcing the Torment, going for the M2, going to get the health state change on a George. You also get yourself that borrowed time hit onto the Claudette. Not going to be able to find a connection here with this M2 as George does move back towards our shack. Should be able to make it to the pallet itself. Going to avoid another M2. I think Green Dean might be starting to feel just a little bit of pressure. You had talked about the ability to play it patient and wait for the forced animation. Hasn't done so to be able to get the second hit here, and this is some time that we are now moving away from that very infamous 3-gen that spawns on the top side of this map, but you're now able to get the down.
Yeah, me and our survivors, we're going to go ahead and heal up. And one thing that we can breathe about is what you mentioned earlier on in the game was that Ruin's down. So I'm not going to have to be concerned about if I go to heal one of my teammates and I have to get off one of my generators. I'm not going to lose progress for it. I could safely go with my team, heal up real quick, take a quick breather, be like, guys, okay, let's play this a little slow. Let's think about this. Let's maybe make some strong plays. But it looks like he gets a dead man switch proc to maybe get some information on a survivor. I'm going to assume that we're going to get a balanced landing play here and try to get away from our killer. And it looks like that might have been the call. We have a... Looks like he's going to try to protect our hook, and he's going to try to check also on a generator and maybe see if he can get multiple pressures.
And it's interesting. I was looking down here at the bottom left-hand corner because I noticed that we weren't seeing the double range that we see a lot on Pyramid Head. And I'm wondering if maybe Green Dean might be onto something here with the Crimson Ceremony book, which of course means that anybody affected by the Torment status does suffer from the hemorrhage effect. And with the recent changes to that, I kind of like that switch up here. We are going to see the Cage of Atonement here, though, which does mean once that survivor is removed from the cage, no longer going to have that effect on them. But that does also mean that Bazzi won't be able to have any sorts of play around those unhooked perks, whether it's the borrowed times or, anything like that. So we see the sound notification. We know that this is where the uncaging came into effect. Looks like we're following some scratch marks. I'm not sure if that's... Oh, no, this is Bazzi. That is that survivor. This would be a death hook if that's the case. Jumping in to our locker here. So slaps him with the D. Says drop it. Prolongs this chase just a little bit longer.
Yeah, this was a great play from Yoichi just to make sure that he can get the use of his perk here. Because anybody that doesn't know about Pyramid Head, so not only is he really strong in chase, he also, like Hugh was mentioning earlier on, he gets to deny any kind of hook perk. So like Decisive Strike, once you're pulled off of a hook, you would normally have that second chance, which Yoichi was able to use here, or you would get a borrowed time effect, or you would get like a will make it effect. But since he was able to cage him earlier on, he was going to deny any kind of perk access that the survivors would have been able to use there. And he's going to try to shut him down from maybe being able to use some of their perks. But the DS come into play, extending the chase just a little bit longer here. Going to move around with Dead Man Switch, try to maybe get some information. Gets eye contact on Jake. Going to take the chase 1 through 3. Chooses doesn't want to commit and maybe see if he can get some more gen pressure.
And we are going to see here now into the 3v1. I was about to say, I'm wondering how close we're being to generator number 5 popping, but there it is. And you will notice on the right side of the screen, we do have that haste status. I mean, we all know that Pyramid Head is known for the cakes that boy do be thumbing out here, but just a simple M1 would put one of these survivors down on the ground. Nice firecracker here to be able to build a little bit of additional distance. Not sure if we have somebody on the door on the opposite side here, but Got to be a little bit anxious. If we have somebody on this door, though, there's some big distance. If it's not Nancy, it gets with
2.
Oh, no way. Stop.
That,
Stop.
the
Wow.
freeze
3
case.
out.
Oh my god, that was so well played from our survivor team here. That was actually incredible.
That was absolutely amazing to watch here. We're talking about a phenomenal finish here from the survivors of Genesis. Talking about getting, what is that, 7 stages out the door, resulting in a score of 17 for Genesis and 12 for CatJam. Remember, Genesis currently up 2 set points to 1. That's going to be putting a bunch of pressure down onto CatJam's survivors. So, Chunguss, what does the conversation have to look like for CatJam in these comms heading into trial number 8?
I think once we're heading up into the locker room here and we're going to have to discuss about what just happened in that game, I think we really need a pep talk at this point. So I think, like, if I'm CatJam and we're in a losing position where we really need to come back as survivors, I'm going to be, like, assuming it was my team and I was the one that was trying to help them out, I would definitely just be pushing up and being like, look, guys, this has definitely been something in the past that has happened. There's definitely been come-ups where you can just come out and out of nowhere and just catch this game. And if you really want this win, you're going to grab it and you're going to work for it. And I think we really just need, like, all these survivors need to get their heads together, get in the game, and really make sure they can bring it back and push forward.
Yeah, and we do got to remember, right? CatJam has already been able to surprise Genesis before, even today in this series. So maybe they can pull it off in trial number 4. I see we've got our survivors starting to load in here. So we will be bringing trial number 8 between CatJam and Genesis to y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. CatJam under some pressure, needing to really limit some stages here, essentially needing to limit to 4 stages, and it can't be 4 fresh here. So you're really needing to make sure you're playing a darn near perfect game. And when we talk about the fact that Bazzi has already been able to find a survivor, has a health state change, going to be getting a down here 45 seconds into the trial right now, CatJam really needs to respond.
Yeah, Pyramid Head coming out strong, really showing how bad he maybe wants to win this game. And before we get right back into what the other survivors could be doing at this point in the game, I really want to point out, if we go and look at the first game, there was the purple add-on that got chosen, which was the Hemorrhage status effect. But if we look at the second game, we have, I think it's range and duration coming from Pyramid Head. And I think that's an interesting choice. Maybe he's still sticking with the original choice that he really feels comfortable with, didn't want to branch out too much. But he has a strong hook here at the back of main building. He has Corrupt on bottom side. He has a survivor and chase, so there's maybe only like 1 or 2 survivors doing a generator right now at most.
Yeah, as I say, more than likely only 1 with 1 survivor rotating in for the save, which means if they are not, if the other person had currently been working on a gen before rotating in for the save, is going to be seeing that regression thanks to the ruin. It does look like here Bazzi is going to be going for the ace here. That is the survivor who had came in for the save. I think this is part of knowing the assignment, understanding that the fresh hooks really help us progress towards that win condition here for Genesis just a little bit more. Moving into the long wall here at the L wall, trying to avoid the M2, however, not going to be able to make it much further before the M1 comes in here from Bazzi. That's going to be hook stage number 2 before we even, but right after we see a first gen pop.
Yeah, I think that was great patience as well from the Pyramid Head. He's just making sure that he could lock in that shot to where if Ace was going to go ahead and hit that window, he was going to get a guaranteed hit nonetheless. Because if he actually preemptively shot the shot at the window when Ace, he chose not to take the window, he could have got out and got away from the scenario. So a lot of smart Pyramid Heads and a lot of smart players will often be very patient and make sure they're going to do what they do. Or otherwise, because if they just go ahead and like shoot the shot before they're even there, they could potentially miss the shot, and then the survivor can get a much more distance when what they could have gotten here.
And now we're seeing moving him onto the back of Shaq. I believe this is the Nia here. Nice shot with the M2 through 2 walls to be able to get the health state change. We see the save comes in, but that means what?
Do you think they potentially saw the ruin on that hook? That was right in the corner there, and I'm wondering if the survivors were able to see it while he was getting hooked there. I
Yeah,
wonder.
I was honestly kind of curious about that when we even just saw the hook stage come in. I thought maybe we might have seen Bazzy here try and rotate that survivor out, but I think part of the reason that we weren't so worried about it is just because of the situation we're in. I mean, we're already talking about now getting down to a 3v1, and we still have 3 more gens that need to be complete. So I think it was one of those where I would rather just get the hook, take that risk, and just go about my objective, you know?
Yeah, 3 survivors left is going to be very tough for our survivors to bounce back. He's not only going to have somebody already killed because he was able to mori them with the special mori from Pyramid Head, excuse me, and then we have Bad Habits getting hooked up on the hill, and there's only going to be maybe 2 survivors doing generators if they're not healing, and it looks like Jake's going to take chase, see if he could buy time. Ace is going to have to come up for a pool. That means 0 gen progress coming from the survivors. 0 gen progress is going to be left because Ruin is still up in the game. It's not looking too hot.
Yeah, especially when we take into consideration that we are currently at the tie condition. If the survivors were to be able to finish 3 gens, get the save, and get all 3 survivors out the door in the next 10 seconds. But I don't see that happening, as we do see a down coming in here from Bazzy. So this is now going to be another hook state. This is actually going to be the final fresh hook here as well. And if my math serves me correct, I do believe that will be Genesis wrapping things up for set number 4.
Well, Genesis going to wrap it up. CatJam still going to show that they have some moves to put on to show. He's going to come around Shaq, maybe see if he can't go for a strong chase at least, maybe show that he's still got some of the moves. Maybe he could get a fine pallet drop on the Pyramid Head here. Pyramid Head also doing a great job getting his shots down, making some strong predictions. He's gotten 2 strong hits without even being able to see the survivor on Shaq now, and he's going to come back to the hook and see if he can't find Nia.
Yeah, we're just seeing another really strong performance here from Bazzy. I mean, Bazzy being one of those names in the OCE scene that's just known for having a very diverse killer pool, and we've have seen some pretty strong performances as far as from their Pyramid Head. I believe they had used the Pyramid Head during the it wasn't during the 1v1 event, but Bazzy here was our 1v1 winner. So I mean, seeing him come out and just holding it down on the killer side kind of makes sense here as far as when you think about for Genesis.
Pyramid Head gonna hold down power, trying to see if he can't maybe get the survivor to maybe make a quick call, maybe make a quick dodge. Looks like he's gonna try to proc balance lane and get a few distance here. Makes the hook save. The survivor's gonna have to split up if they want to maybe get a chance, at least get another gen down, even with the game maybe being locked up. It's always best to try to pull out and do the best for your performance, and see if he can't maybe get a few extra downs here with his slug and try to wrap up the survivor game. Gets the heal. Looks like 2 survivors are
Yeah, it's going to this is interesting here, right? Because we do see the pickup. I'm wondering if the heal was from a self heal, because usually we tend to see sometimes they'll try and hide that second heal coming in, have them kind of healing together, and we're not seeing the reset coming across here as far as onto our Nia. So I'm wondering if that might be the case. I think we've also located a survivor back here. Yeah, this is some scratch marks, and it does look like I think I'd seen some pools of blood, which does mean this should be our injured Nia.
He's going to try to run Shaq as long as he can. He got the pallet out of the way, so there's only so much more left that he can do without having to bring the killer to the hook as well. He's trying to maybe see if he can't get a distance on him, but if he's running in this direction, he's also putting pressure on the Jake for any pool that maybe could have happened here. Because now, instead of having 1 survivor being chased at Shaq and 1 maybe going up for the pool, he has 2 survivors exactly where they want to be, but Nia going to go ahead and make a great dodge to make sure she's not going down. Going to extend her chase as long as she can. Looks like we might even lose our teammate here on the hook. And it might be a wrap for our brother over here, Ace.
Yeah, very unfortunate that you kind of have to wrap up and end up being here taking this loop right next to the hook here. So not going to be seeing Jake moving in for the save, and understandably so. I'm wondering if maybe Jake might even be setting up for an end game play. No, it actually looks like Jake was trying to crank out this gen up at the top of main and will now be taking chase. That does mean that Nia is going to be pretty much just hanging by ourselves. We see, I think that is the med kit that there is in the hand of the Jake. Explains why he was the one that got the heal and not the reset between the two. Doubling back, though, finding the knee. I think we might have found her out of position working around the back side of our main building here. Not sure if she's going to be able to make it to our, we broke up I forgot we had the breakable wall already broken up over here, but I think at this point it's still just going to be curtains and an M1.
Definitely still a respectable play from Jake coming to at least try to get another generator completed. He knows that things are kind of done for with 2 players done, but you know what? He definitely hasn't thrown in the towel yet. He's going to still try to push a gen with the Roy, and he still wants to at least get some extra points on the board. Doesn't want it to be too different in the score here. We're going to get a slug, and it looks like Jake's going to maybe reveal his location and see if he can maybe get a nice chase on Shaq again. This has been a pretty dominant area of all chase. Oh, that was such a good play from Jake, just to maybe make sure he could pull the pyramid head away from the down survivors, so that way they were able to use their unbreakable safely, making for a strong distraction.
Yeah, really good play there. You love to see. And I think this is one of those things that you love to see, especially like at this point, right? Like the decision has already come across, but CatJam still fighting all the way until the end. I mean, I think it's part of what has allowed them to kind of build momentum even through some losses in the past to be even able to sneak up on Genesis here. Stole set number 1 and was even really close to it in a couple of our other sets to being able to really pull off the upset here. So we are going to be seeing left on the ground is our survivor now trying to find the Jake. And I think that's just simply because we know we could simply remove our survivor on the ground with a final judgment, but we would rather go for the 4K to end things off on the right foot.
Yeah, so a smart thing from Pyramid Head, I like what you brought up, Q, the final judgment play. So most players would think, right, just immediately kill the player and start moving. But a smarter player actually could maybe be to actually hook Nia, yeah, because he can get closer to the hatch who is going to be going back on Shaq. But it looks like he's just going to hook here, maybe so that way he can make it all the way down before Jake can maybe make hatch on the Killer Shack side. But I don't think he maybe makes it unless he chose to put the hatch near the main building. It looks like that might have been the case because he looks like he's sticking around main building, and maybe Jake or the Pyramid Head is going to see who can get lucky.
We're going to be seeing there's the 50-50 coming in there. Not going to be seeing any Jake around. Not sure if that might mean Jake is already on one of these doors, but it looks like I think we've got the traditional kind of 3 and 9 doors, which should make these. Oh, no, not even 3. Oh, my goodness gracious. Bazzy, bro. Yo, what are you doing to get these doors, my guy?
Oh man, Jake's in the back corner right now. He's just like, well, I don't know. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I mean, this is how this game's about to be, I guess.
Oh man,
No-Ed up 2?
Yeah, No-Ed's up 2. No-Ed in between the 2 doors, nonetheless. So, yeah, you know, at this point, it is just going to be a matter of time. I mean, granted, at least it's not this situation where you need the escape for the win. At least you're already kind of like locked into the solidify. Like you know what the result's going to be, right? Like, I think if I was looking at I needed to get Jake out and then I see these doors, I would be molding so hard, bro.
Yeah, I remember there was definitely a point in time in this game where I would just be so upset because even though as good of doors as you have, and with Ruin and No-Ed still up, there was a thing that exists called a key. And I would just lose my mind if I saw like 3 survivors going through the hatch. And I'm like, no way, dude. And that's definitely not going to have to be a concern in this game though, of course. But Jake going to just try to extend the chase, see if he can avoid a few hits here. Bassy just showing dominance over the Jake right now and just showing, you know, he's come to win this game, brother.
Oh, and then we got the slow nodders coming in here from Bazzy here, getting Jake down onto the ground, going to go for the Cage of Atonement to end the game as well. That is going to be Genesis, again, wrapping up set number 4, winning their 3rd set, wrapping things up with a 3-1 over CatJam. But of course, you know, here we don't just have one series a day. After this, we are going to be seeing Endless versus Assault. And this should be really fun when we look as far as the killer pool throughout the matchup, talking about starting on the Huntress on the deadest of dogs, then moving on to the Nurse on the Cold Tower, Blight, Suffocation Pit, and then if needed, Executioner on Wrecker's Yard, and then the 5th and final decision if needed. I would love to see it go this far. I love watching some Billy on Sheltered Wood. So I feel like a lot of high action. I'm really excited to get into this. I know we already have had our first series here run some pretty good time. So we're going to go ahead and get these two teams in here and get ready to square off, and we will be back with that series after a very quick break.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never